So I just booked my first ever jiu-jitsu super fight, and my sole singular goal and focus for this fight is to Wait, why'd you censor that? All I said was take my opponent down. A jiu-jitsu super fight is just a fancy way of referring to a match that isn't part of a tournament bracket. Normally, these jiu-jitsu events have a ton of mats and a million matches going on all at once in a pretty loud and hectic environment. But at this particular show, there would only be one mat and one match going on at a time with all the eyes on us. But we'll get to that. I want to take you back to the moment that I accepted this opportunity and set my intentions for the match. Of course I wanted to win, but that wasn't good enough. If I look at my last few tournament performances, there's a glaring weakness, and that's wrestling. I want to wrestle. I want to be good at taking most of my opponents down. Well, maybe not good, but at least good enough to take down jiu-jitsu guys. And in my last few matches, I've been trying to do exactly that, but I've just struggled with the finish. So my matches have ended up looking like an awkward game of tag with not a whole lot of action. Plus, if I was going to be putting on a show in front of a crowd for the first time in my jiu-jitsu career, I couldn't have it go down without some proper scrapping. So I decided to make a change, and I committed my training camp to becoming a wrestler. The first step to being a takedown god is to dress like one. So I decided to get rid of the rash guard and shorts and trade them in for a cotton shirt and sweatpants. I even put on my longest, thickest white socks and bought some fancy wrestling shoes for good measure. And let me tell you, I got a little out of hand and came really close to pulling the trigger on some other wrestling gear, but thankfully I held back this time. The next step was to wrestle, and I sure did a lot of that. Aside from just my typical Monday night wrestling class, I made a point to drill takedowns every practice leading up to the event. I did double legs, single legs, high crotches, and I did a whole lot of live wrestling rounds to start getting used to chaining attacks together and setting up my shots for real as we came closer and closer to the big day. Walking into the venue, I was feeling great. I had a good warm-up, getting loose and starting to break a sweat while visualizing what I had been planning for all this time. The atmosphere was picking up as the crowd rolled in, and I was ready to open the whole show with a good pace in the first match of the day. They called out my name, and boom, just like that, I blinked and I was on the mat. Oh, and shout out to my buddy Edgar for the free plug as we walked out. After a handshake, I began looking to get heavy on my opponent's head right away to try and tire him out while finding the openings I could capitalize on. To my delight, he was game to wrestle and met me with hard collar ties, arm drags, and wrist control to make things difficult. But I didn't back down and noticed he had quite an upright stance, leaving me a lot of opportunity to get low and attack his legs. And then the moment came. I used my grips to make my opponent step forward and hooked his foot with my lead leg, giving me the perfect opportunity to pick it up for a single leg. He snapped at my head and tried to grab my neck, but I postured up and made space between our chests. Knowing he would want to snap me down again, I figured my best bet would be to lift his leg as high as I could. So I opened my stance, punched his leg up to the sky, and swept his foot for the takedown that I so desperately needed. And that felt really good. But I still had a match on my hands and knew I couldn't stop now just because I scored the first points. He managed to scramble into a guard here, and I started moving to half guard to work my inside passing. I was really heavy with pressure to try to make him carry my weight, but this really wasn't getting me anywhere, so I started to get up to my feet and try to do some outside passing. With my grips on his shins, I sidestepped around, but he quickly turtled and started coming up, so I lunged back on top and into his half guard, scoring me an advantage for the near pass. I was back on top and wanted to give passing from my feet another try, but my quick lapse of judgment with hand placement gave him the chance to jump on a Kimura. I had defended this once already in the match, so I didn't give it much thought, but it ended up being deeper than I realized, and he was able to use it to sweep me. And he also wouldn't let go as I tried to come on top, so he forced me into accepting bottom. And don't worry, I'm already looking into this and studying how to defend it. I think my biggest mistake was my poor head positioning when I really could have brought my head back inside to defend. But now the score was 2-2 and I was only up by an advantage. I knew I had to get some type of guard going if I was going to win this match, and I scrambled to get my close guard. I wasn't satisfied with stalling this out, but I knew a pass would win him the match, so I fought for the less risky positional advancements like arm drags and underhooks, but the time had run out. And although I didn't make it easy on myself, I did enough to get my hand raised and win my first ever jiu-jitsu super fight with a nice little takedown. Want to see it again? Okay, I'll show you. Why don't we just see a different angle too? Okay, I'm done now, bye.